start out on the right foot. I got something that'll keep you going all day long, Daddy. Don't worry about a thing, brother. This is the eye of the hulkster, man. You gotta get your head right.
Oh, no.
This is the only way to go.
Welcome everyone to WeboManiacs World of Wrestling. I am the WeboManiac, and today, as per usual, I'm going to be joined in the studio via satellite, via cell phone, as it were. Wherever it is, however we can get him on here, we're going to have our good buddy, Brother Nero, Austin Goodroe. It's going to be good to see you on here. But we're going to discuss face paint, and we're going to talk a little bit about certain wrestlers that made their career of it. You know, we're going to talk about the types of matches, and does it really matter if you're a fan? Does it really matter if you're already a dedicated fan? You know, should it really matter what type of match you're seeing? Or is variety the spice of life, as we would say? And speaking of spice of life, spouses and the stars that they know the difference between the characters they play and the life they live. We'll be giving you exclusive weekly updates beginning this week and here on out, as I covered a great deal just for your entertainment, fans. And I'd like to thank those that have subscribed within the past few days to help jumpstart this and just rocket ship us off, as we're going to shoot for the stars, and we're going to actually, due to the timing of the program for this week and everything, I'm going to just have to cut short any match of the week's picks or anything. It's really not going to be necessary. And but we also have a bonus surprise in this, as we're going to hear from a fan who actually did indeed follow the directions as to just emailing me or Austin, and I'll be putting it on the screen very shortly for you, for those email addresses. And but we're going to hear from one of the fans that actually watch our show and tell us why they like it. We're also in for another treat, as I'm going to be interviewing an MMA fighter, my buddy Jeremy, I'm talking Bricks Logan. He will be, I will show you a pre-recorded interview that I had with him coming up. But right now, I'm going to welcome Austin. It's good to see you back. How was your week, and what do you say we talk about face paint? Let's get into that right now.
Thank you for having me back, David. My week is going as good as it could go. Face paint. Superstars that made their marks with the face paint. To me, face paint in professional wrestling symbolizes what the superstar is about. You had wrestlers like Ultimate Warrior, Crush, who, by the way, folks, don't get a lot of accolades. You had Sting. You had Sting, you had Muda, Road Warriors even. Demolition, Axe and Smash. Face paint is what skyrocketed those superstars' careers.
Very interesting examples, and wondering, does face paint fit more of a heelish role in wrestling? Are they meant to be scary? Or are we just like what we would see in Doink the Clown? You know, some laughed at him. He had two different versions of himself on there, but some of them even do it for heritage and stuff. The Native American Tatanka rings a bell with face paint as far as it does with me. But would you say that now Tatanka was both a heel and a face? Which does it more favor, face or heel?
In my opinion, face paint in professional wrestling, it more so solidifies the person as a heel. I mean, having the face paint as a face is good because you're looked at as a hero in the face paint. But you gotta think, there's been guys who have turned heel that have made a name for themselves in the face paint. Tatanka being one of them, like you mentioned. Sting. Sting had two different versions. Well, many different versions, but two in particular stick out. The Crow face paint and the NWO Wolfpack face paint. You see, face paint in professional wrestling more better solidifies a person as a heel, but also heritage. You have wrestlers in history who use the face paint to show off their heritage, where they come from, where they were born. It's just, there's just many different things face paint can solidify and symbolize in the world of wrestling.
On that note, what about foreign type wrestlers? People like the Great Muta and the Kabuki Warriors and things of that nature. I mean, when you say it's used to symbolize heritage, some of those Japanese stars, more so than not, will actually dedicate to someone by actually using face paint to get their message out. And I'm just curious if it leans more toward heel, as you say, then what about those foreigners? Is foreigners more considered heel than face?
Foreign wrestlers are an exception. They're not classified as a heel or a face. They specifically do the face paint to dedicate to someone or to proudly represent their heritage. Like Muta, Kabuki Warriors, they're proud to be Japanese. They're proud to be from Japan. So face paint, when it comes to foreign wrestlers, to me, is a sign of honor and dignity to their homeland. That's how I look at it.
Was there any other particular stars? You made your mention of Crush, which we had discussed in Messenger about when we were going to put this show together. And coming up, we're going to be talking about the types of matches. And does it really matter if you're a dedicated fan what type of match you see, or should there always be a variety of different matches? Such things as when you would have a contract on a pole match or a glove on a pole match. Is just so many different type scenario matches, and would you say that they've improved or gotten better over the years? I'd like to hear what you got to say on that.
The special condition matches, the special stipulation matches, in my opinion, have gotten better over the years. We evolved from contract on a pole, Judy Bagwell on a pole match. glove matches. They definitely got better. They got better to me when the invention of TLC came along. When that invention of table ladders and chairs came along, well, TLC and Hell in a Cell paved the way for more special matches like Elimination Chamber, TNA's Asylum match, bull rope matches, Texas death matches. Stipulation matches, in my opinion, are used to spicing up the storyline a little bit, to get you more invested in the story being told by the two superstars.
And we definitely want to hear what other people are invested in as to what they're seeing and everything involving professional wrestling, as well as this show. And we'd like to hear from you. So if you would like to write us and tell us what you would like to be on this show, or even if you want to be on the show yourself, you can write either Austin at his email address, which is Goodroe 19. That's AGOODROE 19 at gmail.com. And as always, you can write me at WeboManiac at yahoo.com. Well, as I said, we've got something really good on the books here, and I will be sharing with you as we take a look at this just a good specimen of the mixed martial arts when you take a look at my buddy Jeremy MMA Bricks Logan.
As a mixed martial artist representing Gracie United, he stands 5 feet 10 inches tall, weighing in 155 pounds. Fighting out of Hammond, Louisiana, here is Jeremy, I'm talking Bricks Logan.
And you'll be seeing more of Jeremy later on in this program. Stay tuned for that exclusive interview that I had with Jeremy.
WeboManiacs, World of Wrestling. I am the WeboManiac, and I am going to be telling you about all the goings on in and out of that squared circle. Join me and Austin Goodroe every Saturday.
But we're back now, and I'm talking here with Austin. We've already talked about the various aspects of face paint. We've discussed certain specialty matches. What would be that's a follow-up question to that, Austin. What would be your favorite type of specialty match that you say has gotten things to be more spiced up in professional wrestling?
My favorite specialty match that spices things up for me would have to be the dreadful Hell in a Cell match. The brutality that comes along with it. Hell in a Cell spices things up for me without a doubt. Back to you,
Being
David.
red-blooded American married men here, women spice things up for me. So give me any kind of women's match out there that you got. Bring back that Attitude Era. Let's see them rip it off again. That's a good one in my book here, you know. And we give thanks to Jerry the King Lawler. Thank you very much. But and since I am married, let's talk about spouses. Spouses to the stars. We know they know the difference between character and living. And what I mean by that there's a lot of talk, a lot of heat that Dirty Dom and his facade with first Rhea Ripley and now Liv Morgan, and how some have said they would love to be the envy of Dom. They envy him by being able to be around all of that. But Dom is married, and so is Rhea. Liv, not so much that I don't think so. Maybe you've got some information you could share on what you know about Liv Morgan within the bounds of this program. But spouses to the stars, and they know the difference. So Rhea Ripley and Dom are actually married, but their spouses understand. Buddy Matthews understands about the whole deal where Rhea actually licked Dom or something. That was such an internet frenzy. It's like you thought the internet had broke or something on that. But what do you think about the spouses? I mean, we had the late, great Macho Man Randy Savage and Miss Elizabeth, First Lady of Wrestling. We know certain things got in the way of their relationship. That finger directly at Hulk Hogan. Can't really dispute that with anyone on that either, but it is what it is. It was what it was. But what do you say? Oh yeah.
In some instances, there's a lot of spouses that are married to wrestlers that don't tend to understand the storylines, because 9 times out of 10, they didn't watch wrestling when they were growing up, so they wouldn't understand. Now, you do have your spouses like Buddy Murphy and Dom's wife that understands the storyline. As for Liv, at this current point, I do believe she's still single. But anyways, but spouses and the stars, it's important to learn the difference between storyline and real. There's a lot of people that don't understand the concept. You'd be surprised at how many don't understand the concept.
Wow, that's strong, brother.
Fly on the dotted line.
I will, brother.
And surrender the title to me.
Welcome everyone to WeboManiacs, World of Wrestling. I am the WeboManiac.
As a fan for wrestling for over 20 years of my life, I've noticed a couple people first. Bob Orton's son, Randy. As soon as he got into WWE, everybody said he was truly gifted, a physical specimen.
But you gotta think that transition from the 80s to the 90s, there was a whole line of superstars that were ahead of their time. None other than Paul Triple H Levesque. He went from a messed up character and terrorizing on WCW to one of the biggest heels in professional wrestling history.
You just never know what you're gonna hear in WeboManiacs, World of Wrestling.
Okay. So the reason why I like this WeboManiac is because in 2007 is when I actually first started watching wrestling. I was really into it. But after getting knowing back from maybe 70s, 80s, you get to learn more about the older wrestlers, especially their own long-time histories and stunts and all kinds of other things. Wrestling today, of course, you got numerous generations going on. So you really get to learn more on their history. It's not just from, their daddy, you got the grandparents and the great-grandparents. So you looking at not just second, third generation, but you also looking in between maybe the fourth generation as well. Because, you got the son, then it goes back to the daddy, then it goes back to grandpa, then maybe great-grandpa. Which, some of them goes back to at least 4 to 5 generations. But also another thing, into these generations, is learning about, their death. What if it's a stunt going wrong, like Owen Hart's? A stunt went wrong. But, you had, like, generation of kidney failures, heart attack. Which my main favorite person was, like, Andre the Giant, even though, he was scary. But is learning about how he fight, when he was younger, about how big, like, how he got big, or what kind of, disease that caused him to get big. So you're looking at so many things in their history of life and what they're doing now between the past and to the current to their death.
There's a lot out there that don't understand why red-blooded American men and women both enjoy wrestling. Like I said, you named yours. Yours was violence. You wanted Hell in a Cell. Me, I'm like Jerry Lawler. Give me the bra and panties match, brother. or the now, let's not go overboard and go with that rated R display that was done in a bed inside the ring. No, nonetheless, that's a little bit too much performance, if you ask me, on that. But I will tell you, we really hope you've enjoyed this week of WeboManiacs World of Wrestling. I want you to stay tuned, as we're going to end the show with weekly updates, as I have it pre-recorded already for you. Greetings, WeboManiacs. We are here at the WeboManiacs Workout Hangout with none other than Jeremy, I'm talking bricks, Logan. It's nice to hear from you, man. Nice to see you. How you doing? I got a few questions for you, if you don't mind.
Yes, sir.
I just want to know, what's your KO submission win ratio, and how do you deal with the rigorous training? Like, what mental effects does it have on you?
Man, when I'm training, I just like to dig deep because, we train so hard and we know that it's a second win in us. And I always know that my opponent is just as tired as me. So I like to dig deep. And when I feel like I'm gassed and I'm tired and I'm beat, I don't let it show. Because if you let it show, they're gonna know that they got you.
And would an injury delay a fight?
No, the fight gonna go on. You can't. Some people get injured and wouldn't even let the coach know, wouldn't let the people know, or nothing, just because they want that fight so bad. Yeah.
Okay. And would you say that MMA fans are actually also wrestling fans?
Of course, yeah, because MMA and wrestling is almost the same. It's lit, and that's what they get it from, like wrestling. They mix it up.
Did wrestling inspire you? Was that a motivational factor in getting you involved in fighting?
Of course, I was obsessed with wrestling. I remember when I was a kid, we used to just practice wrestling moves and just watching wrestling is the reason that I really started fighting.
They said, don't try this at home, and you said, oh, watch me, hold my beer.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Let's see. You actually said that you already answered my next question. You yourself, you follow wrestling. What do you think of this show?
Oh, man, I love it. I support you, man. Everything you do, I support it, man. I share and comment. I make sure that I support you because I respect everybody that's trying to do something, with themselves. You love the wrestling just as well as I love it, man. So the show is amazing, bro. You got to start somewhere. You got to crawl before you walk. You got to go downhill before you get uphill. And it's only going to get better, bro. It's only going to get better.
That is great. That is just great to hear. And do you have any special type diet tips to help this dad bod out on me?
I walk around at 190, sometimes 198, but when I fight at 155, as you can see on the video, 155 pounds. But when it's time to fight, we cut out all our salt, butter, sugar. We eat plain food like chicken with no seasoning, and when we eat, we're not trying to get full. We just put some on our stomach, so we do a lot of protein, drink a lot of water.
It's not like the movies where they actually try to starve the person and say, go in there and kill them. Okay. And let's see, the last question here is, what's your best deadlift, and how do injuries play in training?
I could deadlift 405. And when I get injured, I don't take breaks. Like I went to the hospital the other day. They told me I had to stay off my feet for 2 weeks. They prescribed me crutches, and I never went and got none of it. I trained through it, and just pushed myself through it. Like for instance, if I get hurt in the fight, in the bell ring, and I'm in my coma, I ain't gonna let nobody know. Because I'm gonna push through it and make sure I get the fight over with. When I'm training, I hurt my leg, my ACL. And my partner told me when we was training to just leave it alone, man. You hurt. And I went 11 rounds afterwards. After I hurt my leg.
11 rounds.
11 rounds after I hurt my leg, and then the next day I went to the hospital because I couldn't walk on it. But I went 11 rounds after I hurt it.
And one obvious last question that I'm sure everybody wants to hear: when are you fighting again? When's your next fight?
Next month. September 20th in Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
You heard it here, folks, in WeboManiacs World of Wrestling. Thank you, Jeremy. MMA, I'm talking bricks.
Thank you, brother.
Good job. Yes, Woo! WeboManiac coming at you with the updates from around the wrestling ring. Tiffany Stratton on SmackDown gives Nia Jax a celebration, and the story here is Nia wants everyone to bow to her, including Tiffany. Had a wild-eyed look in her eye, and she gives a celebration that's just awkward to the Queen, as the Queen's all about violence and punishment. So what happens here is, after a serenade by Pretty Deadly, which serves as sort of a distraction from her having to bow to the Queen, only to be attacked by Mi Chen, who wants to stay in the title picture against Nia. And Tiffany walks away without bowing to the Queen. Carmelo Hayes beats Andrade in this second time as these two have faced off, and the story here is a rubber match will be taking place somewhere down the line. Let's keep our eyes on that. Good matches, by the way. It made my match of the week, not for this week, but in previous episodes. But these two, every time they go battling at it, it's very much like a Steamboat and Flair. It really reminds me of that. Blair Davenport dimmed the glow by beating former WWE Women's Champion Naomi. Kevin Owens beats Grayson Waller after tricking Waller into a match backstage. There's a double team on KO after the match, only for Owens' opponent at Bash in Berlin. The American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, saves Owens. KO never asked for this title shot, but Rhodes feels he's deserving as he tries to distance himself from the bloodline. Street Profits defeat DIY for the number one contenders to the World Tag Team titles. And they get a shot against the Bloodline that previously defeated DIY for the Tag Team Champions last week. Solo sets a trap for Roman to try to take the Umahala, and Roman had things under control until the trap was sprung, and Jacob Fatu puts down the tribal chief. SmackDown ends on that particular note. Now we're going to take you over to AEW Rampage. Just a side note here, folks. Rampage to me is what WWE Superstars was back in the day. It was for underdogs of the industry to show their best. The majority of times, these matches are filled with jobbers, but it's action nonetheless. Rampage lost its luster after Sting left, in my opinion. And the top of the card for Rampage was as follows. The conglomeration, Jay Briscoe, and his bunch took down the Outrunners and the Butcher. Outrunners sort of looking like looking like the Body Donnas or something back in the day of here, so it looks like a carbon copy of or something. The Beast, Nyla Rose, in a squash match, defeated her opponent, Erica Lee, who was the valet of the Outrunners in that previous match. Nyla came right out immediately after the Outrunners lost to the conglomeration, only for the match to immediately begin. So this was nonstop, and that's the way AEW is doing it, to keep eyes on the ring. We're keeping eyes on things as Saraya, a.k.a. formerly known as Paige in WWE, gets granted a title match by the AEW Women's World Champion next week for AEW's Dynamite, which is coming up in Cardiff, Wales. Nick Wayne beat Kip Sabian. Kyle Fletcher and Roosh bested KM and Rhett Titus. These are, as I said, jobbers, newcomers. Somebody wants to show their wares and stuff like this. Top Flight beat the Private MXM Collection. MXM Collection is actually formerly known as Maximum Male Models when you used to see them in WWE. And they're doing the same sort of bit. They're posing, doing all sorts of male model type of things here. And that was it for AEW Rampage. Now we're going to switch over to AEW Collision that took place on Saturday. Now, Saturday's show, just like old WCW Saturday Night Wrestling, AEW Collision, no matter how you slice it, it's actually, to me, almost the new version, the reincarnation of a WCW. I'll probably get into any kind of trouble with that or something, but that's just this fan's opinion here. But AEW Collision kicked it off with Dr. Britt Baker defeated Harley Cameron. Harley Cameron is the bestie of Saraya, as we said, formerly known as Paige. It was a hard-fought match to be ambushed by Camille and the CEO, Mercedes Moné. And Camille is calling herself basically Brick House. Yeah, mighty, letting it all hang out. Exactly. And this adds to the fire between Britt and Mercedes as the ambush took place, and Dr. Britt Baker left in the ring with Mercedes 1 foot on top, holding the title high above. Dustin Rhodes and Sammy Guevara defeated the Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions Matt Taven and Mike Bennett to only lose it after holding it for 234 consecutive days. Hologram continues his undefeated streak, going 5-0 since his debut, beating Angelico. Jack Perry defeated and placed his opponent in a body bag after spray painting their face to look like Darby Allin, his opponent, coming up at AEW's All In. Okay, and in this body bag type of scenario, similar to what was remembered when The Undertaker did it. Darby, you're no Undertaker. I'm sorry to tell you right there, but Darby's name was on the outside of the body bag. When it zipped up, you could read Darby's name. And this leads to the coffin match at AEW's All In with Darby Allin facing Jack Perry. Claudio Castagnoli, otherwise known as Cesaro back in the days of the WWE, fans will remember, defeated Lio Rush, who also was a former WWE superstar. So former stars going to AEW to die, as someone would say, or something. I don't believe that to be the case. I just think they hone their craft more so, and get better and better at it. If they make any kind of a comeback, as we say in the business, anything's possible. And never say never in wrestling. That's the moniker. Mariah May defeated London Dior, only to attack London after Toni Storm, the current women's champion in AEW, taunts her for their upcoming match in AEW's All In. Only 8 days away. To be keeping your eyes out for that one. FTR versus the Acclaim to determine the number one contenders for the World Tag Team Champions, the Young Bucks, ends in a draw, only for Tony Khan to send both teams to take on the Young Bucks at AEW's All In. And now we're at WWE's Monday Night Raw. Raw opens with Randy Orton, only to be met by an attack by Ludwig Kaiser after Gunther told Orton, "Feel proud of the RKO, as you will never get it on me again." Sheamus beats Pete Dunne in a one-on-one match. So those two are settling their beef as far as that breakup of the Brawling Brutes and everything. Sheamus comes out on top of that one. New Day, in a backstage segment, they hatch out what I already suspected, that they were in fact going to try to, in some way or form, replace Big E with Odyssey Jones. Well, Woods made that fact known to Kofi. Kofi explained over to Woods. They hatched out their indifferences. They did not argue about it. They did not fight about it. They actually discussed it and ironed things out, only for later on in the program, during the match between New Day and Odyssey in a six-man tag versus the Final Testament, took the victory for Jones to be more elated than Woods, only to draw more suspicious behavior from Woods. So it's like he just kind of like hugged him and like, yeah, like really hard or something. And Woods even told Kofi he would try to up his spirits more now that he knew that they were on the same page. Maxine Dupree versus Ivy Nile ends with the Wyatt Six interference, and the match was thrown out as Uncle Howdy took down Chad Gable, and the rest of the Wyatt Six handled American Made. I'm here to give you the updates as we continue on. And in segment 5 here, CM Punk confrontation with Drew McIntyre, asking for a trade to trade the strap that Punk brought to the ring, as he's wanting to set up for a strap match at Bash in Berlin. He wanted to trade the strap for the bracelet, that coveted bracelet that means so much with CM Punk's wife's name on it, his dog, and his kid. Just weird how they're going out with that one. I wonder if they've settled issues with the one who made the bracelet that's complained about not getting compensated for it. We'll have to stay tuned for that one. Well, GM Pierce makes it a strap match after Drew declined and snubbed Punk, and the match will take place at Bash at Berlin between these two. Maybe they'll settle their differences. We don't know. I still think it's going to have to go to a steel cage before that one's ended. Then, Bronson Reed continues his destruction as Miz tries his luck in a no DQ match. Miz specifically wanted this match as no DQ so that he could actually do certain damage to Bronson and have sort of like an even playing field. But Bronson was too much for him, and Bronson Reed continues his destruction, only for the Miz to lose and then be saved by none other than Braun Strowman. You heard right. The monster among monsters is the monster of all monsters. Braun Strowman made a shocking return to get himself in this particular picture, as Braun Strowman has been known to be a fanatic of awesome Truth, and when Truth had the injuries go down where Miz was wanting to try to defend his brethren here, Strowman stepped up. Damian Priest knew he was in a trap facing Dirty Dom, only for Mommy to come to his rescue after fending off former teammates of Judgment Day, only for the numbers game to catch up to the Terra Twins that they're calling them. If you notice, folks, they're not even actually renaming Judgment Day. They're letting Judgment Day keep that name, and they're calling Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest the Terra Twins. Kind of goes with that flow there, as whenever they were with Judgment Day, I looked at Judgment Day as the continuous following, biblical following of, as we know, we had Four Horsemen, we had NWO, now we have Judgment Day, and we also have Final Testament in wrestling. Kind of a biblical facade going on there. But the Terra Twins were put down in the middle of the ring. That was sad to see, poor Rhea Ripley being beat down by Liv Morgan. As you know, women only attack women, men only attack men. Actually, sometimes women will attack men, but it's never supposed to be the other way around. Zoe Stark and Baszler, a.k.a. Pure Fusion Collective. Pure Fusion Collective. As Michael Cole would try to tell Pat, say that 10 times fast. And he actually tried to do it. And he was saying it pretty good, too, until Michael stopped him. Side note there, Pat McAfee will actually be leaving the broadcast booth at WWE to go over to football as football starts up, as we well know. But it was Zoe Stark and Baszler, Pure Fusion Collective, versus Damage Control versus the champions of Fire and Dawn, only for the champions to retain in a triple threat tag team match for the title. That proves the worth of Fire and Dawn stepping up from NXT to the main roster. Congratulations to them. Randy Orton beats Ludwig Kaiser to taunt Gunther and get double teamed by none other than Imperium. Kaiser was all over the place on Raw, and he just made his mark. Folks, that's the updates for this week. I'll have more for you next week, right here, WeboManiacs, World of Wrestling. So with that, we're going to sign off for this week. Catch us next week, and don't forget, if you want to hear from us, if you want something from us that you want to see in this show, you got to let us know. Write us at WeboManiac@yahoo.com, or this is WeboManiac, and this has been WeboManiacs World of Wrestling. See you next time, folks.